started. And if we would have looked back even 10 years ago, your life was on a very different trajectory. So are you willing to be vulnerable and share with individuals? Because as you said, part of being a heart leader is being willing to step out and lead with heart as well as mind. And sometimes that can place you in a very vulnerable place. And not everyone is going to understand the choices that you make from that vulnerable place, which can then create a little bit of conflict within self, potentially.
Absolutely.
So part of what we would like to do is offer tools and techniques from firsthand experience of those who have navigated this journey. So are you willing to offer some of those?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm grateful to be a co-founder of Suivera with you. You were able to be that individual to show me what is possible through love. For most of my life, I thought love was just something that Hallmark banked on and in a bunch of movies created scripts around. I didn't realize the true depth of love. I understood it on a familial basis in the power that it could be, because I'm very close to my family, as you know, and they're incredible individuals, and I'm grateful to have that family. But I didn't realize how love was misunderstood. Again, we got so caught up in here that when we attempt to think love or think how to do love or how to act love, then we're missing, we're limiting our ability to connect through love, because we're attempting to go from here down, and we're kind of skipping this part. And so when we can start to bring more awareness into our heart center and let love lead, as you say, then we're allowing the heart to kind of flow up to the brain, and then the brain to flow through the body, and then the body to flow out into the world. And so our actions become more aligned in that understanding. And so, yes, I'm happy to be vulnerable, because through this process, I've definitely recognized how love is the strongest energy of this universe. And for so long, as a man, being taught that men don't cry, or men don't show vulnerability.
What is that?
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I understand it kind of, but at the same time I don't, right? Because from an ego standpoint it makes sense, but from a heart standpoint it doesn't. Because when we are so disconnected from ourselves, when we're focused solely on ego and protecting that identity, then yeah, it makes sense, because it's almost like a protection mechanism.
Okay.
But when you start to shift away from the ego and balance out the ego, not get it out completely, because we need to know our identity, right?
Right.
But when we balance that ego and we connect more with our heart and we become more of our authentic selves, then that becomes illogical, because we start connecting with the love within, and we recognize that when we choose to be vulnerable, we are accessing the most truly the strongest and most transformational energy in this universe, and that is love. And we've had these discussions before, that the reason why we're able to connect at that deeper level of love is because, unlike any of these other energies that are out there, guilt, shame, even happiness or joy, these are great. Some are necessary. We need to go through them to grow. Some are incredible energies that we can really connect and enjoy. But love is different. Love is more than just an energy, it's a consciousness.
Yes.
And so when we experience love as a consciousness, we are actually able to create that heart-to-heart connection. And from that process, it becomes a two-way experience, where grief may be just something I might be feeling, or fear might be something I'm feeling, and it could be short-term, it could be long-term, but it's a one-way street. But love is a two-way street, even within self. Because it's that consciousness, it allows us to connect at that deeper level, and we no longer become limited to one way. It's that two-way street that creates that limitless opportunity, that limitless expression, that limitless understanding because we are accessing ourselves at the highest level of who we are by being love.
I agree 100%. But that brings us back to another point that you made, which is that love is a feeling. You don't think love.
Yeah.
But love thinks. Because love is a consciousness. And there are some amazing organizations that are reflecting this, that there are neurons in the heart, that you actually do have thoughts and memories that are stored in the heart.
Yeah.
So as heart leaders, and in this program that we're developing and has been developed up till now and will continue to unfold, part of this is recognizing that there is thought around love and in the heart center. Now, you can't think love because it is a feeling, but it does think, which is kind of an interesting nuance. What would you have to say about that?
It is an interesting nuance. I'm not quite the scientist that you are, but I will do my best to describe a little bit about what it at least means to me from my perspective.
Okay.
I feel like the first way to understand it for me when that came across was to recognize that kind of that saying where fear can't exist without love, but love can exist without fear. And that's kind of like the thinking and the heart, where our hearts can do the thinking for us because we start to recognize how to utilize the body and mind as tools for the soul. And for me, because love is also a full spectrum, it is the base, it is the very foundation of everything. And so when we're thinking up here, we're just getting small aspects all along the way, from fear to neutrality, all the way to unconditional love. But when we're here, we're not just connected to the aspect, we're actually connected to the foundation. And the foundation of that love is what enables us to recognize that those experiences aren't our identities. It's not like I am afraid. I feel afraid. Because I am creates an identity around it, which then pops you away from here up into here, and that's what you start to think.
Yes.
And you become that.
Yes.
And so when we shift away from that, we start to recognize that we are love. I am love. And I feel fear. I feel happiness. I feel courage. I feel shame. Then it starts to recognize that our humanity and the experience of being a human is that, an experience. You know, we can't know ourselves as compassionate until we experience compassion. Right. We can't know ourselves as patient until we experience patience.
So it's a way to, as we talk about, it's a way to add to our toolbox of understanding or our conscious expansion. Because each experience brings with it tools and insights, but it doesn't define who we are. It just adds to the awareness and understanding of who we are.
Yeah, very well said.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of comes back to the program that is the Heart Leader program and why we're creating this podcast, which is to bring forward these tools that can help individuals no matter where they are in the leadership spectrum, whether that's the leader within themselves in leading a life that they desire, or leading within the family, or in the community, or within an organization, wherever it is, having the tools and the language and the necessary things to help lead with both love and whatever level of thought that is necessary in that given space. And so we call it building out that toolbox so that you have every tool. Because if all you have is intellect, then it's like that saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if all you have is intellect, then the only tool that you have to get out of it is to constantly attempt to think your way out of it. But if you're with somebody who is emotional in that moment, rationalizing with them is not going to help them. Mm-hmm. It's not going to serve them. Let me tell you, when I had my teenage son and he was going through some emotional times, me giving him intellect was not going to help him understand why his heart was broken. Mm-hmm. So as a mother leading my son through some of these emotional changes in his life, I needed to know how to lead with heart, with compassion, how to be vulnerable with him and share that I did understand, have empathy. Mm-hmm. And these are things that no matter where you are in leadership are important, because people are the same. They all desire to be seen, to be understood, to know that you care. And if we don't take that time, and that's why gratitude is equally important. As we're talking about this right now in the month of November, a little bit of gratitude can go a long way. Mm-hmm. Appreciating someone who's done something kind for you. Mm-hmm. Appreciating yourself for taking time to do self-care. Mm-hmm. Or really expand and understand something different, right?
Yeah.